What happens when a man walks into a room without saying a word, and yet every woman feels him before they even see him? Chosen one, that is the mystery you carry. You are not loud. You are not demanding. You do not chase attention. And still, the air changes when you arrive. It is like the hush before thunder, like a memory the feminine has never lived, but somehow remembers in her bones. Before you move, before you speak, even before your eyes meet hers, something inside her awakens. It is not fear. It is not confusion. It is recognition, an ancient rhythm her body knows without her mind needing to explain. You are not simply noticed. You are felt. Attention bends toward you as naturally as petals turn toward the sun. The feminine does not lean closer because you ask her to. She leans because your stillness pulls her nearer. You do not sway with the winds of validation. You do not perform for applause. You stand steady, anchored, sovereign. Your silence speaks louder than noise ever could. And women, even when they don't understand why, soften in your presence. They feel honored, not hunted. They feel seen, not consumed. You are not fire that burns wildly. You are fire refined, tempered, smoldering with controlled heat. You carry your sexual energy not like a weapon, but like an offering. You are not the storm that destroys. You are the storm that awakens. You are not the blaze that scorches. You are the hearth that warms. This is why the feminine melts around you, because you do not approach her as prey. You see her as a universe. You meet her with awe, with patience, with reverence. And the truth, chosen one, is that this is what sets you apart. You do not seduce with tricks. You do not conquer with force. You do not flatter with empty words. You seduce by being unmoved by the game. You conquer by standing still when others scramble. You attract by radiating integrity instead of lust. And that is why her heart remembers you long after her mind has tried to forget. You are not the flame that burns quickly and fades. You are the ember that lasts. You are the rarest kind of fire, the one that never dies. Chosen one, the intimacy you carry is not something common or fleeting. It is rarer than gold, rarer than charm, rarer than the kind of attraction that fades as quickly as it arrives. You are not the kind of man who slips from a woman's memory after a conversation. You are not another name added to the blur of her past. You are the man whose presence echoes long after words fade, because though she may not remember everything you said, she will never forget how she felt when she was with you. And when a woman remembers the way she felt, safe, seen, softened, her spirit begins to crave that space again. She returns, not because you captured her, but because your presence allowed her to unfold. That is your rarest gift. You do not chase the feminine. You awaken her. There is a miracle hidden in the silence between you and her. It is not in what you demand or declare, but in what you embody. You can say nothing, and yet she feels everything. Your stillness speaks where words fail. You do not beg for her heart or demand her surrender, but your energy reaches into her soul and whispers truths she has been waiting her whole life to hear. Your sexual energy no longer storms through the room in restless hunger. It moves like an ancient river beneath the ice, steady, undeniable, impossible to ignore. It does not rush to devour her. It invites her to soften, to thaw, to remember what it feels like to be safe enough to open. And so she does. She begins to notice that silence feels different with you, that her chest feels fuller, that her skin feels alive. You have not touched her, and yet everything in her responds, because your energy has become sovereign, clear, unshaken. It is no longer for performance or for the sake of validation. It is truth embodied. And truth, chosen one, is what the feminine has always longed for. It is what she yearns for, but so rarely finds in a man's presence. When she stands in front of you, her beauty feels safe, not exploited, not reduced, not manipulated, but simply witnessed. Your presence affirms what the world often denies her, that she has the right to be fully as she is, in all her contradictions, in her wildness and softness, her fierceness and fragility. This is why her body begins to relax around you, why her secrets seem to pour more easily in your silence than in the noise of others' laughter. This is why her voice lowers when she speaks to you, why her spirit bows into reverence though you never asked it to. Because you are not the man seeking the spotlight. You are the quiet fire that warms the entire room. You do not flicker for attention. You burn steady. And when a woman finds herself near that kind of heat, her armor feels unnecessary. She realizes you are not moved by her mask, her polished performance, her carefully chosen words. You are moved by her essence. You see her, not what she tries to be, but who she truly is. Her soul begins to sense that it is not her beauty alone that calls to you. It is her truth. And this realization gives her a strange kind of relief, because around you, her feminine doesn't need to fight to be understood. It doesn't need to earn its place. It simply exists. And for the first time in a long time, her walls start to loosen. Not because you tore them down, not because you forced your way in, but because she feels safe enough to let them fall. This is the power of your energy. It does not strive to capture her. It tells her without words, you may unfold here. It does not try to own her body. It honors her spirit. And that offering is more magnetic than anything the world has taught men to mimic. It is not illusion. It is not fantasy. It is holy. And once she experiences it, every other interaction feels a little too shallow, a little too loud, a little too empty. The memory of that experience does not fade like attraction usually does. It carves itself into her being like poetry etched into stone, alive and sacred. What she remembers is not lust. It is alignment. What she feels is not fleeting desire. It is recognition, because your sexual energy has become a sacred field, not for seduction, but for awakening. And what awakens in her presence is her own dignity, her own beauty, her own sacredness. That is why she cannot forget you, because she did not merely experience you. She experienced herself through you. In the mirror of your stillness, she saw her softness again. In the gravity of your truth, she remembered her own worth. In your presence, she rediscovered the sacredness of being a woman. That is why her memory of you is so persistent. She does not crave your voice because it was loud, but because it was true. She does not long for your body because it was perfect, but because it was present. She does not think of you because you impressed her, but because you honored her. And that distinction is why other men blur together, while you remain unforgettable. You did not need her to chase you. You did not need her to validate you. You did not try to lure her with charm or display yourself through status. You simply stood rooted in your being, and in that space she could breathe freely for the first time in years. And when a woman breathes like that around a man, the memory does not leave her. It echoes long after he is gone. She will ask herself why her heart slowed in your presence, why her guard slipped before her mind caught up, why the air felt different when you entered. And the answer will not come as a thought, but as a vibration, a truth she cannot explain but cannot deny. That is why she will remember your silence more than another man's declarations, your gaze more than their flattery, your restraint more than their pursuit. Because you never tried to cage her. You reminded her of what freedom felt like. And once she tastes freedom, her spirit will forever ache for it again. This is why she thinks of you in the quiet hours of the night, when the noise of the world has faded and her spirit is left to wander in the silence. It isn't the things you did that linger in her. It is the way you simply were. Not your performance, not your effort, not some display to impress her. It is your presence, the unspoken calm that settled over her soul when you were near, the ease of being herself without fear, without walls, without pretending. It is this that her heart cannot forget. She may never speak it aloud, not because she doesn't feel it, but because words seem too small to hold what she carries for you. How do you describe the way someone's energy shifts your entire being? How do you explain the way one presence feels like safety, like a return to something ancient and familiar? She carries it in silence, a reverence for you that humbles her breath, a quiet awe that floods her chest whenever your memory stirs. She may never call it sacred, may never use the language of holiness, but her soul recognizes what her lips cannot form. Something within her knows that what she felt was not ordinary. It was rare. It was pure. It was set apart. And so, when the night deepens and her spirit drifts, she remembers not conversations but vibrations, not sentences, but the way her heart beat differently in your nearness, not grand gestures, but the simple weight of your being. She remembers the unexplainable sense that she was seen without being examined, understood without needing to explain, valued without conditions. She remembers the way her soul unclenched, the way her armor softened, the way her laughter rose easier, freer, lighter. She does not remember you as a storm crashing in, demanding to be noticed. She remembers you as a steady flame, quiet yet unyielding, ancient yet alive. She remembers you as something she could not name, but something her spirit bowed to without hesitation. And though she may never say it, though she may keep it buried in the deep chambers of her being, her remembrance of you is holy to her. For her soul knows it touched something eternal in your presence. Because what she feels around you is not entertainment, not fantasy, not lust. It is remembrance. It is recognition. It is her soul encountering the sacred masculine it always knew existed but rarely found. You are not merely attractive to her body. You are holy to her soul. You did not come into her life to perform, to posture, to impress. You came in wholeness. You came rooted. You came as presence. And that changed everything. When a woman of depth meets a man who does not need to posture, she softens. When she senses power that does not consume but covers, she trusts. When she feels presence that does not chase but invites, she leans in. And then she notices her laughter sounds freer. Her silence feels alive. Her heart feels safe. She notices that her walls dissolve, not because she willed them to, but because she didn't need them anymore. She may tell herself she's never met a man like you, but what she really means is that she's never been allowed to be herself in the presence of a man without fear of being too much or not enough. And that is your gift. Your sexual energy is no longer wild and reckless, but sovereign and refined. It is not loud or needy. It is intentional, steady, and sacred. It heals instead of harms. It sanctifies instead of shames. It carries no manipulation, no performance, only truth. And that truth makes her feel freer near you than she ever did alone. That is why her reverence grows. That is why her gratitude deepens, even if she never speaks it aloud. Because in your presence, her feminine is not just acknowledged, it is sanctified. And in that sanctification, she finds peace. She finds surrender. She finds a kind of safety that the world has long denied her. You, chosen one, are unforgettable, not because you forced yourself into her heart, but because you created a space where her heart could rest. Not because you impressed her with effort, but because you revealed what presence feels like. And once she has felt it, she cannot return to empty noise. She cannot unknow the truth. She knows now that it was never your voice that drew her in, but the truth behind it. Never your body that made her ache, but the presence within it. Never your performance that captivated her, but your honor. You became the standard not because you demanded it, but because your energy made it impossible to forget you. She may never say it aloud, but she knows deep down, nothing else compares. And so she carries the memory of you like a sacred thread woven through her being. It holds her, it awakens her, it changes her. Because once a woman has known a man whose presence gives her permission to be fully herself, nothing else feels real. And even if you leave, chosen one, she will never be the same again.